My family disowned me for refusing business school, so I built a 10 billion tech empire in 5 years, then invited them to my gala to see the man they called a failure. The air in our suburban home was thick with the scent of my mother's celebratory lasagna and the heavy weight of expectation. I had just passed my high school finals. My report card was on the table, a passport to the future my family had already meticulously mapped out for me. "To the future businessman," my father said, raising his glass of wine. His smile was broad, proud, and utterly final. 4 years at State for a business degree, then an MBA. Your uncle can get you an internship at his firm. In 5 years, you'll be set for life. It was a script I had heard since childhood. A safe script, a prosperous script. And to me, it sounded like a prison sentence. I took a deep breath, the words feeling like shrapnel in my mouth. "I'm not going to business school," I said, my voice quieter than I'd hoped. "I'm not going to college at all." The silence that followed was deafening. My mother's smile vanished. My father's glass hovered in midair. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his tone dangerously calm. "I'm going to teach myself programming. The tech world is moving faster than any university curriculum. I don't want to waste 5 years learning outdated theories. I want to build something real." The celebration was over. The lasagna turned cold. What followed was a week of escalating arguments, a torrent of fear and disappointment disguised as concern. "You're throwing your life away," my father boomed, his face flushed with anger. "This coding fantasy is a dead end. We didn't work 2 jobs all our lives for you to become a hacker." "It's not a fantasy, it's the future," I pleaded, but my words bounced off the solid wall of their tradition. My mother cried, appealing to my sense of family duty. My older brother, already a junior at business school, called me an arrogant, ungrateful fool. The ultimatum came on a rainy Tuesday. "You enroll in business school by the end of the month, or you find somewhere else to live," my father said, his voice hollow with finality. "We will not support you in this delusion." I looked at their faces, hard, resolute, and utterly convinced of my impending failure. My heart felt like it was being torn in two, but a deeper instinct, a stubborn, unshakable belief in my own path won out. "I choose the delusion," I whispered. I packed a single duffel bag that night. My mother stood in the doorway of my room silently weeping, but she didn't try to stop me. As I walked out into the rain, my father's last words chased me. "You'll be back, and it will be too late." The first few months were a brutal education and survival, far removed from the world of code. I crashed on the lumpy couch of a friend who believed in me, a privilege I knew was temporary. I took a grueling job loading boxes in a warehouse for minimum wage, my hands growing raw and calloused while my mind yearned for the clean logic of a keyboard. The worst part wasn't the physical exhaustion or the constant anxiety about rent. It was the silence. My phone didn't ring. No texts asking if I was okay. The complete severance from my family was a phantom limb, an ache that never faded. There were moments staring at a cracked screen in the dead of night when the doubt crept in. Were they right? Am I a fool? The fear was a cold knot in my stomach, but I had made my choice. After my warehouse shifts, I would spend every remaining waking hour in the local library, their public computers becoming my university. I devoured online tutorials, forums, and open source code. I learned Python, then Java, then C++. I built clumsy, useless applications, then slowly, painstakingly, they began to work. My social life evaporated. My world shrank to the warehouse, the library, and my friend's couch. I was running a marathon on a path of my own making, with no finish line in sight. After a year, I landed a low-level freelance coding job, fixing bugs for a small e-commerce site. It was barely enough to afford a rented room in a shared apartment, but it was a foothold. It was validation. I was no longer just a kid with a dream. I was a problem solver who could get paid, however meagerly, for my skills. The knot of fear began to loosen, replaced by the first faint embers of confidence. By the end of my second year in exile, I was making a modest but stable living as a freelance developer. But I wanted to build, not just fix. I thought back to my warehouse job and to the countless small business owners I saw throwing money at ineffective, confusing online ads. The digital advertising space was a walled garden, impenetrable to anyone without a massive budget and a dedicated marketing team. The idea was a spark that became a wildfire in my mind, an AI-driven program that could completely automate digital advertising. A platform so intuitive, so efficient, that it could analyze a business's target audience, create optimized ad copy, manage budgets across all platforms, and learn from results in real time, all without human intervention. I called the project Apex. For the next 3 years, my life was Apex. I became a hermit, coding for 16 hours a day. My rented room was a nest of energy drink cans, whiteboards covered in complex algorithms, and the relentless glow of my monitor. I poured every dollar I earned back into server costs and beta testing. I faced 1,000 setbacks, bugs that erased weeks of work, investor rejections, moments where the entire architecture seemed to collapse under its own complexity. But I persisted. The memory of my father's dismissal was my rocket fuel. The silence from my family was the drum I marched to. I was no longer just building a program. I was building my vindication, line by line, function by function. The breakthrough came during a beta test with a small local coffee roaster. In 1 month, using Apex, their online sales increased by 400%. They couldn't believe it. I could. I knew what I had. I polished the code, built a sleek front-end interface, and launched it quietly. Apex didn't just enter the market. It detonated. It was the game changer I had envisioned. Small and medium-sized businesses flocked to it. It was affordable, it worked, and it democratized a power previously reserved for corporate giants. Venture capitalists who had once shown me the door were now pounding on it. I built a company around the software, hiring a small, brilliant team. We scaled at a dizzying pace. Within 5 years of being kicked out of my family home, Apex was a household name in the marketing industry, and my net worth was being reported in the billions. The reckoning arrived on a perfectly ordinary Tuesday. I was in my office reviewing quarterly reports when my phone lit up. It was my brother. I hadn't seen his name on my screen in over 5 years. My heart hammered against my ribs. I let it go to voicemail. A moment later, a text arrived from my mother. "We saw Forbes. Please call us." Attached was a link. There I was on the cover of Forbes magazine. The headline read, "The 10 billion self-taught phenom who automated advertising." I leaned back in my chair, a torrent of emotions washing over me. There was no joy, no schadenfreude. Instead, a profound, almost weary sense of closure settled upon me. The journey was complete. The proof was irrefutable. I didn't call. I sent a single email, a formal, elegant invitation to my company's annual gala, an event known for its opulence and attended by the titans of industry. I included a handwritten note. "I'd like you to see what I built in those 5 years." The night of the gala, I stood at the entrance of the grand ballroom, watching them arrive. They looked small and out of place, their clothes slightly dated. The awe on their faces as they took in the soaring ceilings, the swirling lights, the murmur of power and money, was a narrative in itself. I walked over to them. The years of silence hung between us. "Mom, Dad," I said, my voice calm. They could only stare. My father's eyes, once full of dismissive anger, were now wide with a stunned, incomprehensible respect. You did all this," my mother finally whispered, her voice trembling, "without the degree." I gestured around the room at the empire built on code and conviction. "This," I said, not with arrogance, but with the quiet certainty of proven truth, "is what I built in the 5 years you gave me to waste. A $10 billion empire. You wanted me to spend that time getting a degree to find a good job. I used it to build a company that creates them. There was no dramatic reconciliation, no tearful embrace. The chasm of those 5 years was too wide, but a new understanding was forged in that ballroom, built on the unassailable foundation of my success. We have a relationship now, but it is on my terms. They know the son they disowned for his delusion became the man they read about in magazines. The victory was not in the billions, but in the validation. It was in proving that the path less traveled is not a path to ruin, but often the only road to building something that truly changes the world. My peace comes not from their apology, but from the daily knowledge that I was right to bet on myself. If you were inspired by this story of defiance, resilience, and ultimate vindication, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more epic tales of against all odds success and the courage to follow your own path. Tap the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into the battles that redefine what's possible. Deep dives into the battles that redefine what's possible.